So I'm a father of one. I gotta find a babysitter. I found care.com and I was blown away. Through the platform, I was able to find local and experienced candidates along with their reviews and rates, which were way more affordable than I anticipated. Care.com really put me at ease knowing that they were all required to go through a background check. If you're like me and you need to find someone reliable for your childcare necessities, check out care.com. Find the ideal sitters for your childcare needs.
The following is a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowercat.com's Powercat Insiders Podcast, presented by Commerce Bank, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here's your host, GoPowercat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
It's another edition of the Powercat Insiders Podcast brought to you by Commerce Bank. Go Powercats, Tim Fitzgerald, that's me. Matt Walters of the Kansas State IMG Radio Network.
Just once.
What was it?
Kansas State Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Oh, I missed the from the part. That's just stupid.
And it's K-State, it's not Kansas State.
That's wrong.
I'm going to write it down for you.
I know from search engine results.
That's Kellis Robinette from the Kansas City Star and Wichita Eagle, and that is Catfish, a.k.a. Ryan Black from the Manhattan Mercury.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Stealing his job.
Hey, it's great. And you know what I'm going to make him do now? We're sponsored by Commerce Bank,
which has the technology and the people to help with whatever financial challenges come your way. Commerce Bank challenge accepted.
Is this 2 weeks in a row we're all gathered?
Yep.
This is fantastic.
First time since the season, I guess.
Farewell to our number one sub, Tyler Griever, as he moves on to greener pastures. I don't think he's announced officially where he's going.
Which means you won't.
Which means I won't. But bid him adieu as he moves off to Anchorage.
Best of luck.
He's going to be on the Juneau beat.
That is not greener pastures, Anchorage.
No.
Wider pastures.
He's found himself a good job as he leaves Topeka, and a little shuffling. We'll have some new voices on the Insiders Podcast when one of us isn't available. Hopefully not Riley Gates. He curses a lot.
You got any prospects yet?
Well, I think I'll stick with the WIW people.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm affiliated with them. I mean, although 27 has some very, very good sports people, too. So we've got a plethora of people. And we also have Tannehill, who likes to talk about basketball. You know.
Speaking of.
What? Basketball?
Basketball.
Yeah, he doesn't like it when I jack around. Basketball.
Let's go.
He's got a date.
He's got things to do.
Here in a few minutes.
I love Maddie.
Catfish has a rant to get to. Let's make progress.
It's a strange week for the Wildcats. They get smoked at Allen Fieldhouse, and then something happens at the end of the game.
Oh, can I?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
The question?
Yeah.
I was going to text you guys, but I decided not to. Do you remember the question I asked you last Monday?
I do.
What was it?
It was, is it more likely they lose by 6 or 26?
No, 6 or 23.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 26.
You said 6 or 30.
No, 6
no,
or 23.
it was. I knew it was in the 20s. I don't know why I thought 26. I guess I just thought it was the same number.
Carry on, Fitz.
Well, they lost by 21, so neither. Everyone's wrong.
Were you 6? You were 6.
I was 6.
I thought they would be more competitive than that. And you know what's amazing is how it follows that script so often. A bad start, and it just spirals. And they kind of make a little run, and then it just falls apart again.
I don't know if I'd say. Remember, I mean, after the game, Weber took umbrage when somebody asked, well, you got, well, I'm not going to actually, I know who it was that asked it. I'm not going to say someone on the K-State beat who's not in this room. But Weber's like, what do you mean a bad start? Usually we're down 10-zip at the first immediate timeout. It was 7-all, guys. It was 7-all. And then after that is when KU went on its run. But KU didn't get out to a 20-point lead the first time out. It was 7-all.
It was the second time out.
It was the second.
That's
all I'm saying.
The first 10 minutes of the game.
That's all I was saying.
It's Groundhog Day.
That's all I was saying. I was just trying to be specific.
And I have joked over and over, it follows a script like pro wrestling, and lo and behold, someone picks up a chair. So that was an interesting twist on my wrestling script.
I'm just glad Kellis didn't get hit. Because to be honest, I didn't see Kellis until like the third replay of the mayhem.
Well, Ryan was actually closer to it than I was.
I was right beside Riley, and I stupidly did not get out of my seat. I guess I was just waiting to get injured. And Riley, Riley didn't even flinch. I mean, Riley was...
That's amazing, man. Maybe out of all the things that Riley Gates should be doing with his life is not covering K-State sports, but be a war correspondent.
I want that guy in my foxhole.
Man, he picked up that phone and started videotaping and 9 million plus views later on Twitter.
Wow. It's amazing that he had the sense to do that. I mean, none of us did.
Well, as I was watching it unfold, I mean, I didn't think it was going to escalate into that. Even as DeSosa was standing over Gordon and the guys were running over, I just thought it was going to be a staring contest.
It just kind of kept escalating. You know, that's what my point
needlessly.
is. Yeah, everyone who seemed to join the fracas at the start of it seemed to escalate it. And I would even put the KU video guy, Ryan Case, is that his name?
The one who broke his arm?
Yeah.
Jeremy Case?
Jeremy Case, that's right. My apologies. Jeremy Case, for the way he dove at James Love and kind of knocked him off his feet. I know he didn't intend it, but that kind of helped escalate things because now Love's on the ground and stuff started to happen there, although it's not clear what.
So this young man broke his arm.
Broke his arm when he dove. Remember the guy that dove across? That was him. He works for KU basketball.
Former player.
Broke his wrist.
Assistant.
I read where a select few KU fans wanted K-State charged for breaking his wrist. A little personal responsibility here, but
Hope to never see that again.
yeah, it was horrible. Both sides were at fault. Both sides had people escalating it. It was just, God, it was ugly. It was ugly.
The funny thing, though, I agree with you, as ugly as it was, when you actually look back at the wide scope of things.
Could have been worse.
It could have been way worse.
Nobody landed a punch.
Right.
Nothing happened with the chair. Like, the Cincinnati Xavier brawl had much more. Like, if you're talking about just injuries or whatever, that one was much uglier than this one.
The thing that I was really, 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 really worried about is just given how rabid KU's fans are, I thought something was going to happen like the Malice at the Palace, where somebody was going to throw something at a K-State player, and then one of the K-State players was going to go up in the crowd. I was very worried about that.
Could have happened easily. Glossed over is the fact that it was in the handicap section. Nobody got hurt that was seated there?
There's a question about one lady.
The woman with the service dog?
Yeah. No, I don't think anything like serious happened to her.
Could have been horrible.
She was nudged a little bit, pushed out of the way for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been horrible.
I was used as a human shield during that fight. There were people.
You were?
Yeah, the person sitting next to me had his hand on my back the whole time, basically pushing me toward the fight so that he wouldn't have to be in it.
That's nice of him.
And our photographer became a viral sensation. The guy in the orange hat.
For trying to grab the stool.
Yeah, well, he actually did get one hand on it before he got kind of shoved and,
Forearmed out of the way?
Correct.
So watching it from the comfort of home and then
Me too.
following, checking in on Twitter after it all happened, there's a lot of people that saw stuff that I didn't see.
Yeah.
It is crazy. You can ask 20 different people what they saw in that fight, and they'd have 20 different answers, even though it's the same video.
It's
It's kind of like discussing politics. It's weird.
Yeah.
Just all last Tuesday night, I wanted to say, what were you watching that I missed?
Well, we kept hearing that James Love threw the first punch, and in no form of that video was that true. First of all, he never technically threw a punch. He made a fist and then dropped his hand. He Frankensteined quite a bit with his arms straight out and his hands open, which, that was a good move. But, the first physical contact was from Antonio Gordon, really.
Shoving, yeah.
Although there seems to be a question about, if you watch the video, Riley's video, it looks like David Sloan kind of surges to the front, and it looks like someone makes contact with him. I saw another angle where it appears someone hits him from behind. So that's another question.
There were multiple things. There were, if I remember right, 3 things that if none of those 3 or one of those 3 things doesn't happen,
right,
the entire thing doesn't happen.
Right. And they are.
Well, number one, and I understand what Bill Self said, number one, you don't steal the ball.
You don't. You don't
steal the ball. I understand that you're
going to get some flack for this. I got flack.
Well, I
got flack for that.
I'm good with that.
You don't steal the ball, but it's also not a reason to fight.
Right. I understand that it has not reached zeros on the clock. I understand that. But again, it's you have to understand the game. It's that simple. Not saying that Dejuan does understand the game. He just made a mistake there. So that's number one. Number two, in my opinion, is the block was legit. But there are going to be some people that would say, just it doesn't matter. You're up 21. Just let him go in and whatever. I get the converse of that. And number three, and that's really, if you want to get down to, we all know this, what gets it started is simply DeSosa standing right on top of Dejuan.
Well, that's definitely what escalated.
And that's the one that
and he didn't,
takes it to Mach 9 right away.
He doesn't step over him and just kind of look down at him and walk off. He poses over him.
Exactly.
He, as someone said, he pulls a Muhammad Ali.
It's just not like, take that, and he turns around and walks away. He just stood there and barked at him.
You don't make that steal, but it is part of the game. The block is certainly part of the game. I mean, if you're going to steal the ball, you can have a shot block.
And he protected the rim and didn't let him score.
For me, it was the pose. It was the standing over him, and then, immediately I got tired of hearing, well, K-State came off the bench first. Well, they were right there, and it was their guy they wanted to defend. I'd be embarrassed for K-State if that guy, I don't know how long DeSosa was going to stand over him,
It felt like an eternity.
I would be embarrassed for K-State if nobody came to his aid.
Kellis, did you even see the steal when it happened? Because I was trying to finish my game story, and I'm like, game's over, clock's running out.
Sure,
I'm not even, and I only see when I look up, I'm like, oh, wow, he's trying to score. And so I saw all of it after that, but I didn't see the steal.
Well, I know from talking to some K-State people, I know their whole counterpoint to the whole. I mean, I'm with you, Matt. I think it's Bush League to try and steal in that situation. But their counterpoint was DeSosa actually put his forearm into Dejuan before he stole it, and that's actually what maybe agitated him into doing it, where he said, all right, if you're going to nudge me like this and try to get me out of the way, then I'm just going to steal the ball. But I'm with you. I think there's a very interesting alternate universe where if DeSosa comes down and just blocks that shot, and I mean, he blocked the heck out of that shot. Volleyball spike into the stands. All you got to do at that point is just basically walk back up the court, raise
Hit yourself
your hands
in the
up.
chest, do something.
And there's an alternate universe where he looks great and Gordon looks like a fool.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And none of this other stuff happens.
Like if he'd literally done any other celebration other than going and standing over Gordon, it wouldn't have happened. I don't think.
Still, even at that point, though, there were 5 other points where the fight could have been avoided.
The first thing that went through my mind was guys leaving the K-State bench and running that direction, which I get, but was, you know what? KU, you might have 5 guys available for Tennessee, and K-State, you might have 5 guys available for Alabama, and that's it.
I know.
And you're not going to have your starting 5, especially KU.
They could have gotten really interesting with the suspensions if they wanted to.
Did they go far enough with the suspensions?
I don't think so, but that's just my opinion.
I'm kind of with you. I would have probably added a few more games.
For those who did get suspended, or for those who didn't?
I'm only speaking on those who did get suspended because I don't want to.
I don't think anyone that leaving the bench technically, because you get into the question: was it post game? I think it was post game. I think the whole adding a second in was asinine because the buzzer had sounded. I mean, even John Higgins thought the game was over because he did not call a technical initially. And that's another person I'll put fault on.
Exactly.
If the referee had done his job,
nowhere.
Yeah,
because he's the closest guy, and John Higgins is a really good, well-respected official.
He gets a lot of grief from fans, but he is well-respected.
He's the closest guy to DeSosa standing over Gordon, and he did nothing about it. If he goes in and
bear hugs him and moves him
and kind of walks him away, okay, but they stood there and they didn't do one thing while all that's going on.
Referees in the final seconds of a rivalry game have one thought: let's get the hell off this court. You watch them, just watch them. They're running right as that final buzzer sounds. It's like a starting gun for them.
And the security people at every arena, they're waiting for them, and they're out there to greet them and get them off the floor. Which that's what they're supposed to do.
Speaking of which, I thought the security, for what happened, did a fairly reasonable job. That one cheerleader did a good job holding back the cop from getting involved. So that was kind of entertaining. Did you see that? He's got his arms out, and there's a cop behind him, perfectly content not to be in the melee.
Yeah.
Good job, officer. It could have gotten ugly. I mean, if there had been a K-State person near Mr. DeSosa when he picked up that stool, it was going to get swung. It was going to get swung. He didn't pick it up for giggles. He picked it up to strike someone, but there was no target in place, and so he was kind of walking around.
And here's the last thing I'm going to say about it, because it's been 6 days and I'm worn out with it.
Yeah, I am too.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm worn out with it. When Kansas comes to Bramlage, strap it on, because the environment is going to be testy. I'm going to leave it like that.
It will be something else. It will be. And I really hadn't intended to get into it this much, but this is our first meeting up since then. So I thought maybe we should talk about it a little bit. Game-wise, it stunk for K-State. KU played to its upper level, and K-State played towards its lower level, something we see over and over and over in Allen Fieldhouse for whatever reason. Other teams go in there and play well.
It's Groundhog Day.
No, that's amazing.
Okay, Bruce.
Did he say that afterwards?
It sounds like something he would say.
Yeah.
It's Groundhog Day.
Well, he used it at some point this year. He didn't use it after that game, though. I can't remember.
St. Louis.
That's it. Yeah, it was St. Louis.
It's Christmas. But
yeah, it's
really
Christmas, but it's Groundhog Day. Yeah,
he kind of referenced it in Alabama, too. He said, he looked at me and said, and for those of you who follow us every day, he kind of winked at me, and he's like, it's the same old story. He wanted to say Groundhog Day, but he tried to mix it up.
And it was when they went to Alabama on Saturday to play the Crimson Tide in the awful Big 12 SEC Challenge. I hate it.
I like it.
I like it. The timing's awful.
That's
Play it in
that's
December.
exactly it. Play it during the bowl season. Make it part of the bowl hoopla.
Play it between Christmas and New Year's.
They played without Antonio Gordon. He has a 3-game suspension. James Love has 8 games, which is intriguing. He will have to be suspended within the next 5, or excuse me, he needs to be reinstated from injury within the next 5 games for that to mean anything.
Don't you think that's the funniest thing about all this? Is that a guy who's too hurt to play basketball can jump in the middle of a scrum?
Was the first guy there.
The most
and
aggressive. And, if you watch
I
the
question
video,
if he's really hurt. I wonder what's going on there.
If you watch that video, J.O., Jordan Henriquez, one of the student assistants or graduate assistants, has him blocked out. He's behind J.O. when this starts. I've never seen James Love jump around a block out like that.
Yeah.
He got around J.O. and was swinging. He was going after D'Souza like he was a rebound. It was amazing to watch.
He might have some skill after all.
Yeah.
I was going to say also that, because, man, we can look at this from all these different angles, conspiracy theories. One of the things I brought up to somebody at work is that, we heard Bruce say that he told the team not to steal and to back off and do that. It's possible Dejuan did not hear him because, you know what? Maybe Dejuan was so mad and frustrated, he had tuned Bruce out at that point. And he's just like, I'm just going to go all the way till the end.
Or Bruce never actually said that.
Or Bruce, well, that's the other, yes. I mean, for kind of every single moment of.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Do what?
That Bruce didn't say it?
You don't think he did, or you think he
kind of wavered even in his press conference.
Yeah,
when he went back to it later, he said, I wish I would have.
Yeah, I think he probably has told his team that in the past, but not leading up to the end of the game.
Okay.
That's what I go with. But you still know that. A player knows that, but not a spirited freshman who has never been in that situation before. Think about that.
And I said last Monday, you're going into a building you've never been in before.
Think about that. He's been in probably some hostile gyms in Chicago, but nothing like that. Not that kind of volume and amount of people. I mean, they haven't been anywhere overly hostile so far this year. It was all new to him and probably was just kind of snapped at the end.
So really, to me, the two storylines of the week are what happened in Lawrence and then the fact that Cartier doesn't start in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, let's move on to that.
Those are the two storylines of the week.
Antonio Gordon gets the 3-game suspension. Love the 8-game suspension. But then there's a shuffled lineup in Tuscaloosa, and I didn't see that one coming. I realized Sloan was going to be in the starting lineup probably, but Cartier Jada was not in the starting lineup. And I thought Bruce's reasoning for that was odd. He said something about being athletic. Well, I think most people would think Carty's pretty damn athletic.
No, he's one of the 2 most athletic players on the team.
He said it on
Him and
postgame
Xavier.
radio that we wanted to get a little more athleticism in there. I'm like, what? So what?
In his news conference, he said he was just basically so focused on getting a good start. He wanted somebody out there who he knew was going to play hard.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty telling that he would rather go with a freshman than
my thought is something more happened. Maybe in the locker room after the game or the bus ride or something, and he just said, I'm going to sit him down and start the game.
After the
KU.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe he thought he'd send him a message. It's time to shape up, and he did end up leading the team in scoring, but, it's like having Harden and Westbrook on your team. They scored between Xavier Steen and Cartier Jada. They scored 31 points on 10 of 35 from the field. I mean, that's a lot of shots. Your whole team took 74 shots, and they took 35 of them. It took almost half of them and hit far less than half of the field goals made.
I want to make a counterpoint to your guys' thing about the SEC Big 12 Challenge or Big 12 SEC Challenge, whichever way you want to say it, about the timing of it. Because you know what? If they move that to December, those games at the SEC schools, no one's going to attend them. Kellis, I guarantee you if that game had taken place in December and they had not knocked off undefeated Auburn, that environment wouldn't have been what you heard.
That's right.
So
I'm just saying that's the counterpoint.
Because Wyatt and Stan made a comment, and I'll reference Stan for a moment, when I was able to listen after the women's game on Saturday, which there are a couple things from that game we definitely need to mention, but Stan said he totally underestimated what the crowd was going to be like.
I did too.
And what Ryan says is spot on.
Other than when they go to Lawrence, that was as good of a road environment as
and so that's what I'm saying. Like
from a K-State.
You put that game in December, Alabama fans are not going to, because all they care about is football. The only school that you're going to get that from is Kentucky and Auburn right now, just because they're playing as well as they ever have in their history. But other schools like Georgia, okay, they do have like a guy who's going to be a top pick.
Florida typically has a good environment, don't they? Did you go
Above
to the
average?
games?
I actually never have been able to. I think that's called the O'Connell Center. I've never been there, but I mean, obviously they've been the best program in the SEC other than Kentucky in this millennium.
Mm-hmm.
Won back-to-back titles in 06 and 07.
I think it gets you more attention playing it now too.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm fine with it.
I understand why people.
It does, but I'm on that side of it, yes. But on the other side of it, it's just not a game you play.
If you're K-State and KU, you're darn happy you had one of these games to burn off a suspension.
That's right, for sure. Not have to waste it on another Big 12 game.
What'd you think of the first half, Kellis? K-State went into halftime leading by 1 point. It had kind of been back and forth. I was really surprised at the amount of fight K-State had coming out of the gate.
I was surprised at the way they played. It was almost like they wanted to run with Alabama, which I didn't see coming at all. But they took threes early in possessions, really no fear. And if it wouldn't have been for foul trouble, I mean, you can certainly argue that Bruce should have maybe gotten Xavier and Cardi back in there sooner once they got in foul trouble. But if not for that, if not for having to play Pearson McAtee, they might have actually had a bigger lead and probably a better chance. The other takeaway I came from this game, other than Cartier, was just it's really just getting so frustrating to watch Mac try to score near the basket. Like he had 13 and 12 in this game. If he would have just finished some chances, he could have had 25 and 12.
That was the most frustrating double-double I've ever witnessed.
I almost double-taked when I saw it. I was like, he had a double-double? It felt like it did nothing.
He gets the ball. He pulls it down. He gets it knocked away. He stumbles. He's so indecisive. And late in the game, he caught it, kept the ball high, jump hooked, and it was beautiful. And I'm like, where is this? He can do it. That's what's maddening about it. He's not one of those big guys that just is bad. We've seen him do these things.
Remember what he did last year in Lawrence.
Exactly. And yet he falls into these bad habits during the course of a game. He just...
Well, there were two plays that are vividly sticking in my mind where David Sloan made just great plays and got the ball to Mac. And one was on a bounce pass in the lane, got it to him wide open, can't do anything with it. Totally robbed him assist. Later, he throws a lob pass to Mac. With any other big, that's a lob dunk. And Mac somehow doesn't even get a shot off, ends up turning the ball over, throwing it back Alabama's way for an easy layup on the other end. It's like things could... You go from having a perfect pass to Alabama getting 2 points out of it.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
They have him for 3 turnovers. I think other people got attributed for some of his fumbling of passes and stuff. So very frustrating in many ways. And they fall behind by as much as 16 in that second half, and yet somehow muster the strength to come back. And I don't want to count moral victories, and I don't say this is a moral victory, but I feel like this team is, outside of Lawrence, which is just an awful thing, is scrapping right now. They're playing with the type of determination they have to play with to be successful in any form. They can't go through the motions. They've got to be really almost, I don't want to use this term after what happened to KU, but I can't think. In terms of within the confines of basketball, brawlers. They have to be on the floor.
I thought you were going to say fighter. I was waiting.
Yeah, they have to get out there and really
grappler.
Yeah, compete for
wrestling.
Compete for every ball, and they were doing that in that second half. But again, it comes down to three possessions. Thank you. Three possessions in which they've got it down to 1 point, and they can't. They're not finite enough, not exact enough to get over the hump.
Go back and look at what happened when they did pull to within one. What happens in the next few possessions? Xavier Seed misses a layup.
Right.
Cartier misses a layup. Cartier misses a three. Make one of those shots.
Yeah, what I was just going to say is what eats away at that mentality is not executing and hitting those shots. And that's what this team runs into.
And if I'm not wrong, Kellis, the Cartier layup attempt was one of those. He just went 1-on-3 and said, I'm going to try to do hero ball here.
Air ball to layup.
Yep.
Well, Snead actually had a good look. He just maybe overthought it a little bit, which I don't know if he thought we're down one, this could give us the lead, and he just panicked. I don't know. But he missed that layup by quite a margin.
Then they're down by 4 with about 1:05 to go, and they're wolfing up 3-pointers like it's the final seconds of the game. What in God's name are you doing? I don't understand this. And those were the veterans doing that, and that's part of the problem is to mix in with the inexperience and the boneheaded stuff that young guys do. The veterans, the ones you're counting on, are doing the same thing. Key turnovers, ill-advised shots on crucial possessions.
And now you get an Oklahoma team that did win its Big 12 SEC Challenge.
Barely.
Doesn't matter if you win by 1 or 1,000.
Well.
And then you go
Winning's winning.
Right? They were
on the road.
Until the last one of the night, they were all competitive.
Mm-hmm.
They were all a scrap until Baylor went into Florida. Man, Baylor's good.
And last week, Fran Fraschilla said that Florida was going to beat Baylor.
Yeah, he kind of missed on that.
I actually kind of like K-State's chances against OU, though.
Yeah.
I do too.
I think they win. I'll just put the two out there.
There better be some sense of urgency because the bill comes due on Saturday at West Virginia. Then you turn around and play mini Monday in Bramlage against Baylor. So you've got 2 really tough tests after playing Oklahoma on Wednesday night. It kind of does the yellow highlighter thing on the schedule to Oklahoma. You better go get that one.
And they were the better team the vast majority of the game in Norman, and it just slipped away there in the last 5 minutes when Austin Reeves just caught fire.
You know how many times Kruger has beaten Bruce in Bramlage?
None.
0.
None. Weird. He has had his number.
Would some people say that's Lon Kruger just continuing to help his alma mater?
No.
Just throws the game.
Just throws it?
Yeah.
We'll find out later he was betting.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Catfish.
This isn't the SEC. People play by rules around here.
Well, but remember, that's why West Virginia always wins at KU is because there's that conspiracy theory that Self wants.
You talking about football?
Huggins, no, but it helps Huggins get some kind of bonus every time he beats KU, and so he gives Self some of the money every time they win in Lawrence.
I'm just saying, guys. The money goes to charity.
Right.
Okay.
He's still got a rant to come in the second half of this podcast.
I have a good one. I have a good one.
Catfish is all wound up. He's excited about this. We're going to touch on women's basketball and probably mention a team called the Chiefs. And possibly, if we have time, talk about the Kobe Bryant situation. Coming up on the second half of the Powercat Insiders podcast, sponsored by Commerce Bank.
Stay locked in. The Powercat Podcast will be right back.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage, to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify is here to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 15% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. And Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning 24/7 help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast.
Getting the crew together isn't as easy as it used to be. We get it. Life comes at you fast. But trust us, your pals are desperate for a good hang. And when they hear you stock the party with drinks from Drizzly, they'll be banging down your door. Let Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery, take care of the supplies. All you need is an excuse. It doesn't even have to be a good one. It's your dog's birthday. The loquats are finally ripe. Whatever. With Drizzly, you can compare prices on a massive selection of beer, wine, and spirits and get them delivered straight to your door. Which means you can entice the crew to leave their houses without ever leaving yours. Whatever the occasion, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
We now send it back to Fitz in the WTC Gig-Powered Studios.
Welcome back to the Powercat Insiders Podcast, sponsored by Commerce Bank. We attempted to solve K-State's basketball problems, which we seem to be doing a lot this season on this podcast. Some would argue we do, some would argue we don't. I'll say this. I like the fact that Coach Weber seems to be putting more and more trust in the young guys in David Sloan. He really has turned more over to them. And, if you're going to see mistakes, see it from the young guys. Just, they're going to have to get Antonio Gordon back. He won't be back till the Monday night game in Bramlage with Baylor. But I think they're going to win a few games down the stretch. They still got a lot of winnable games ahead of them. A lot of winnable games. Oklahoma State, Iowa State, got 2 each with them. Texas, who I think...
Did you already say Oklahoma State?
Yeah, Oklahoma State and Iowa State, yeah.
Oklahoma on Wednesday.
Yeah.
TCU's coming back to earth?
Yeah.
From their hot start?
They could get to 5 conference wins.
They really could, which is kind of where I thought they would be.
5 conference... Well, that's the bar we're shooting for.
That was where they bottomed out at last time, so maybe it won't feel so bad. We're sponsored by Commerce Bank.
Whatever financial challenges come your way, Commerce Bank can help. Commerce Bank, challenge accepted.
Now, the men's team wasn't the only basketball action of the weekend. Something incredible happened when the women's team played.
Yeah, you think about just how long the program has been in place, but for the first time, K-State has a 2020 game.
That's amazing.
On Saturday. Had their second-best offensive performance of the year. I'd say overall probably their best performance as they throttled Oklahoma 92-74. And if you've not seen, they call her Yoki, but Ayoka Lee, who's the redshirt freshman post standout for the Cats. She had 23 points, 20 rebounds in that win against Oklahoma.
20 rebounds.
K-State had 3 players score 20-plus. They played lights out. Scored 45 points in the first half and 47 in the second half. And they really needed that win, too, because they only had 1 at that point in conference play. And, they're going through some of the same struggles. They've had a big injury with Rachel Ranke. And a couple other players have been fighting some injury issues. But that was a nice win for them. And now they go on the road twice this week, starting off at Allen Fieldhouse on Wednesday.
Incredible. 20 rebounds. That's pretty much my basketball career right there. 20 rebounds.
I mean, think about who's come through the door at Bramlage.
Someone stated that she has an opportunity to be the best player in the history of Kansas State women's basketball.
The best player in the history of the program?
Is she just a freshman right now?
She's a redshirt freshman.
Wow.
Could be. That's saying something, but her numbers could be eye-popping by the time she's done. And again, you think of the Priscilla Garys, obviously the Weckers, the oldies, more recent, Lori Kane. But if you really hone in on players in the paint, and Peyton Williams has put up ridiculous numbers. I mean, she's in rarefied air too. But kudos to Ayoka Lee for the 23-20 performance. She's won, as of airtime here, as recording time, she's probably going to win like a 7th straight Big 12 Rookie of the Week.
Yeah, they just might as well just name the award after her at this point.
Wow. Well, that's good news.
And K-State kept Sherry Cole from career win number 500. Get it somewhere else. Now, on the flip side, K-State did a really nice job on Taylor Robertson, who's from McPherson, who leads the world in three-point shots. She had 95 going into the game, and she only hit 2 on Saturday. K-State face guarded her everywhere.
I'll teach her. Going to OU.
She's averaging 23 a game, too, in conference play.
Man. How does this state produce that many good players? Because it actually does in women's. It's really amazing how many players per capita come out of the state.
You got Emily Ryan out at Central Plains, who's committed to Iowa State.
That one stings.
And what, she's going to break Styles' record?
This state produces. Yeah, there was a game I think it was last week, where Central Plains was playing Maxville, and Maxville scored the first bucket of the game, and then it went from 2-0 to 87-4.
It's nothing like an 87-2 run.
Exclamation mark.
And then after 35 points, Josie broke the run with a 2-pointer.
They've been at 98 points with 3 minutes to go in the game multiple times in the last 2 weeks, and they just play catch the rest of the way.
Nice.
No brawls at the end of those games?
Nope, not to my knowledge.
Man.
If the Emporia football coach was coaching them, they would have definitely got that century mark.
That was a political statement right there, wasn't it?
Well, I'm just saying. I have nothing wrong with Emporia. I mean, that's where Clint Boyer, NASCAR driver's from.
Shot at the Spartans right there.
But isn't it called Jay's Burgers? There's pretty good. Isn't it called Jay's?
I don't know.
Wish I remembered.
Would you guys go Bush League if you had a chance to score 100? Did you break a rank?
It would
in high schools,
yeah, in high school or college?
Yeah, I mean,
high school.
High
it
schools.
would depend on who it's against.
True.
It's
true.
If I'm a senior, maybe.
Growing up for me, if it would have been TMP, oh, yeah. Hang a hundy.
A little bitterness between Russell and TMP?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Central South.
You didn't like TMP. TMP didn't like us.
I would only do it if I could dunk after stealing a ball. Why would they be running out the clock, though? We're down 105 to 98. No, that's possible the way I played defense.
Next topic, is it the rant?
Let's move on to the rant. Are you properly stoked for the rant?
Yeah, I am. And it actually doesn't allow me to do what you want to do anyway and segue into the Kobe Bryant stuff.
Okay.
Because, guys, it was an embarrassing day for our industry.
It was.
It was absolutely abysmal, except for the L.A. Times, which, again, did a good job with taking down its paywall to let people read all the coverage of just the terrible, terrible situation with Kobe Bryant and his daughter and 7 other people dying in a tragic helicopter accident. But, wow, I mean, guys, that's why I was on my phone earlier, and I just want to read a couple of things real quick to put this in perspective. Former coworker Shane Jackson, who now works at the Lawrence Journal-World, he quote tweeted one of these other people who'd mentioned the constantly conflicting reports about how many people had died, who had died, whether Kobe Bryant's whole family died. Just again, every 5 minutes or even less than that, you would just see a different number of people who had died and survivors. And so he quoted it and said, that basically it's okay to just say that we don't know enough information yet to say anything. So he said, and he quotes this from The Newsroom, the TV show, "It's a person. A doctor pronounces her dead, not the news. It's not our job to pronounce someone dead." And then here's the second thing. Society professional journalists, guys. And I just want to make sure that I quote this exactly right. "Remember that neither speed nor format excuses inaccuracy."
Correct.
And it sickens me. It sickens me how terrible of a job the media did yesterday, for the most part.
And I want to ask, I mean, I could have
kept going on, but I see that you want to say something too, which is good.
I don't have a full-time radio job like I did for the better part of 25 years.
God, he's old.
But thank you. But what I'm scratching my head at since this transpired and I started looking at various websites is the inaccurate stories that are, like the first one is there were 5 dead.
Yes.
Why are those still on those websites?
Yep.
Why are they not taken down? I know that, yeah. So that's, I guess, my question.
It's just the obsession with saying that you got a scoop.
In the pre-social media world, we hear in the newsroom that 5 are dead and 1 is a celebrity, and okay, let's get this checked out. Now it's a reflex. Tweet it. And they're not doing their due diligence. Now, one thing I want to push back on is the sheriff calling out TMZ
okay. I thought it was something about me specifically.
For reporting what happened before families were notified. Horrible. But TMZ technically got it right. I mean, Kobe Bryant was one of the dead. Everyone thought it was 5 originally, but it turned out to be 9. The sheriff should be probably calling out the source. They had an accurate source within his department or someone connected to the sheriff's department, maybe fire or rescue. That's where his anger should be. Why is someone on the, quote, good guy's side sending out information as a source to a news outlet before people are notified of their family members' deaths?
Well, I mean, it's the whole...
It's not TMZ's job to hold it to... I guess if I was told by someone, hey, yeah, Kobe was on the plane, that I would assume that the family knows at that point if you're telling me. Why on earth would someone with the sheriff's department or fire or rescue tell a media outlet something like that before families were notified? That's where his anger. It's easy to be angry at the media, and they should be angry at the media for like that ABC station that said all the girls are dead.
Yes.
And, it was horrible.
Well, I mean, I was just going to say, why is he not, like you said, why is he not blaming the source? Well, it's like you got to back the blue. It's easier to blame the outside, blame the media, than to blame someone in your department.
I'm with you, though. If you actually verified the information, I don't see the need to wait for it. But definitely if you're, there's no need to speculate. That's what I saw yesterday with a lot of people saying, I'm hearing all 4 kids were on board.
Or Rick Fox.
If you don't even know.
Rick Fox, for a while. He was being pronounced dead.
Yeah.
And then, you had people say, because he's my stepfather, my stepdad. Someone tweeted, hey, I literally just talked to him.
Yeah, that was what was amazing about it is you literally had people saying, I just spoke to his daughter. Rick's fine. Later, I just spoke with Rick, and he's fine. And people were still saying, I'm hearing Rick Fox was on board. I was like...
And, guys, it just goes back to, as well, today's like yesterday in that regard, why... There's a lot of lack of trust in the media, and that's what saddens me more than anything. Is that I just feel like media members already have it tough enough right now, but then when you have people who can point to, look at how inaccurate so many places were with this just needless rush to want to be first instead of being right. It was just obviously the worst thing was all the deaths, but it was just not a good day overall for our industry outside of the LA Times. I thought
just a horrific event.
And I'll say this. Say what you want to overall about TMZ and what they do in terms of paying for videos and things they've done like that. But guys, if they got a pretty high batting average when it comes to celebrity deaths.
They do.
If they say someone's dead, it's probably about 99% true. Because they also broke Michael Jackson's death. If I'm not wrong, they might have also broke Robin Williams.
Yeah.
So it's just they just have a really high batting average when it comes to celebrity deaths.
I used the phrase "larger than life" with Kobe, and someone says, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "This. Look at this. Look, everything's coming to a stop here. I mean, larger than life. He will be remembered. This is this generation's Roberto Clemente moment. Mm-hmm. Everything came to a stop for him when he died in a plane crash.
Well, and as I heard a former NBA player say yesterday." When you look at what's transpired, you mentioned Roberto Clemente. I mean, Major League Baseball's been affected, but this is really one of the first that the NBA's had to deal with.
Had golf. Of course, you have auto racing happens.
Right.
Yeah, Payne Stewart was what came to mind.
Payne Stewart came to mind, yeah. Dale Earnhardt. Mm-hmm. But the NBA's kind of been out on the perimeter. They haven't really had to deal with this.
Yeah, and I guess really the only one, again, I know he was even before my time, really, is like Drazen Petrovic, but he obviously didn't have the global name recognition that Kobe has. And like that's and again, I know you guys just joke about my NASCAR background and stuff like that, but I've always told people that if you don't understand NASCAR, Dale Earnhardt dying on the final lap of the 2001 Daytona 500 was like if Michael Jordan had collapsed and died during an NBA Finals game. And that's not overstating it.
No,
I'm not being. I
understand that. Yeah.
I got you.
I mean, and again, it's a moment that changed the sport of NASCAR forever because of all the safety features that have now been incorporated in this. And no driver has died in NASCAR since his death because of all of the safety innovations.
Well, and I know we're going to get to other things here in a moment. I remember just simply because I saw a video, and I'm sure everybody in here did. He wasn't Drazen Petrovic. He definitely wasn't Kobe Bryant, but I will never, ever forget the night Hank Gathers died.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because there was video, and it was just, it was beyond shocking.
He's the one who collapsed on the court. Right?
Royal Marymount,
Yep.
scored a basket, turned around, and about 5 steps later just
Down he went, and they're trying to revive him on the
goes
court.
down, and so.
Kobe Bryant, 3 other parents, 3 children, an assistant coach, and a pilot died in that crash, and it was just awful.
Yeah. John Altobello is a very, very fine college baseball coach at Orange Coast College, and has coached in the Cape as well.
Man, I tell you what, him, his wife, and one of their daughters, they're survived by a post-college son, I believe is a grad assistant at Oregon baseball. Oregon
I think
State.
that's right.
Oregon baseball, and then another daughter that they'll now have to move on with a sibling and both parents.
And the last thing that I want to say on this too is that I know that in just a handful of corners out there are people who feel like too much of Kobe and what happened in Colorado in 2003 was glossed over. And I'll just say the only 2 people who know what happened in that room, one of them is now dead, and 2, everyone has flaws.
Oh.
And just because yours aren't well known to the magnitude they would get reported on, like what Kobe Bryant was accused of, doesn't mean that any of us go to our grave without having things that we wish we hadn't done. And that's where I'm just saying that it's a tough thing that there are just people who don't feel like Kobe Bryant should have ever been celebrated after what happened with that.
It's not about falling down. It's about what you do after that. And he turned into a grade A human being. Spent a lot of money and time with youth, and always you don't encounter people that say bad things about him.
Well, and some people would say that it seems like maybe now he's going to have maybe a bigger effect on women's basketball than men's in terms of how much funding and just propping up the WNBA and
things he was doing behind the scenes that nobody ever saw.
Yep. Well, I wish there was something folks like us could do, but we can't, and we can only hope for the best for those families.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine losing a spouse or a child, particularly a child. I was bothered by Kobe, but knowing that 3 young people died is just awful.
Not that I want to extend this because it's very humbling and sad to talk about it. I will tell you one of the things early on in my broadcast career that helped shape what I did, and goes to what you said moments ago, Ryan, was I've always been get it right first. Always. And not just as a broadcaster working in the world of radio, but one thing that was incredibly humbling to me was the night a high school football player died up at Riley County during a game.
Wow. During a game?
Yeah.
Was he on the field?
His name was Daniel Will. And to have to report that, to talk to the head coach, to talk to other people about that was definitely a learning experience, and you've got to do it right.
Yeah.
That's what matters most. Do it right.
Okay, let's shift gears. Do we have any other K-State topics? Baseball season. How about those baseball locker rooms? Did we talk about that last week?
We talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
Man. That makes me actually fired up for K-State baseball. Usually it just kind of comes and goes.
New video boards up. Toyne Family Stadium.
When is the first game? Home game?
Mid-February. First home game, I don't know 100%. I believe it's early March. They play a lot of home games in March. They actually also go to Stanford in March this year for a 4-game series.
Wow.
It's going to be a good environment. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be an entertaining baseball team to watch.
Here's my thought on college baseball above that Oklahoma border, because I kind of feel like that's the line you draw. Oklahoma, Arkansas, South, a little bit more warm weather. If you're above that and you get more winter, you have got to do it right. And Kansas State hasn't done it right in the past. They haven't given them the facilities to be successful. Now they're going to have much closer competitive facilities. You either got to do it or don't do it. And I was with, let's not do it. If you're going to just have this facility, particularly before they built Toyota Family Stadium, that was a joke. Don't do it. Get rid of it. Add men's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Do something else.
And places like Iowa State did get rid of baseball.
And I think that was a smart decision. And now K-State has really moved the chips to the middle of the table, so to speak, on baseball and said, we've invested now. And, man.
Do you guys think they should have got – because, I mean, you guys heard what happened because you're talking about adding sports or getting rid of them. What did you guys think about when they got rid of equestrian here?
Good move.
Okay.
I understood why it was added.
Mm-hmm. Equestrian that nobody – outside of the people who actually participate – nobody cares.
Nobody cared.
Not a spectator sport.
It brought in money from a different set of donors, the horse crowd.
Equine.
Horsies. I like them. Call them horsies. But, yeah, I think it was a good move to add soccer. I would love men's soccer. I certainly would love wrestling. K-State had a great tradition of wrestling, and they just dropped the sport in the, 50s,
No, they
60s?
dropped men's tennis back in, I think, like 84,
They
too.
did not have a great tradition in that.
Nope.
I would love men's soccer.
It's not going to happen, but I would love to see wrestling.
That will not happen.
It won't happen.
You know, if they were going to
soccer might be on next if they ever add anything on the men's side.
I bet you if they ever add any sports here, it'll be an esports team. It's cheap. You could get that's something that actually might be attractive to people. I know it's a
I got to hire a writer
over here, but if they ever add a men's team, I bet it's esports. Put me down on the.
You just
would that be through the athletics department, or would that be like the fishing team? On all seriousness, how is that
through the athletics department?
How is that athletics?
I was really hoping esports wasn't going to come up today, but it did.
There are some schools out there that have it through athletics.
I understand, but it's more of an activity than an athletic performance. It's like the chess club. I admire you. You're good at chess.
Hey,
but it's not an athletic endeavor.
How deep are we into this?
We're deep into this crap.
How deep into this are we?
This is bad.
How many minutes?
Wait.
Look at the timer.
20.
No, overall, that means we're probably
48.
Can we get to the Chiefs?
Hold on. I just want to say that you had to really bring up esports after I lost a rider to it, and I've been chugging along by myself for almost a month. So you just twisting the knife, Kellis.
Yeah, you'll have to cover it here in a few years.
I mean, I haven't played a video game, and God knows how long.
I set a new career high on Galaga the other night, so that's all that matters.
Nice.
You were playing Tetris before we started the show.
Hold on. The 80s is calling. Hold on.
Yes.
Let me get this.
I'm good with that.
Sunday, 5-something p.m., whatever that
5:30.
Is it 5:30? Is that like 5:30 plus ads?
5:37, I bet.
No, it's 5.
It will not kick off at 5:30.
It'll take Fitz 7 minutes to get from the kitchen to the couch, so that's why I said 5:30.
Are you moving in slow motion?
No, man, the food's going to be heavy because I'm carrying it all in one motion.
Having the Super Bowl at a stadium that holds 65,000 is wrong.
I didn't realize that. No wonder prices are so high. There's 10,000 more people that could be in a normal-sized stadium, basically. Wow. But it's Miami. It'll be lovely.
Oh, yeah. Chiefs.
If you could go, would you go?
Probably not.
As a fan or to cover it?
Fan.
If I was calling it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled for Mitch.
It's amazing.
I'm thrilled he gets to call a Super Bowl.
I'm about one of like 3 people from our paper who isn't there. So I would go if they said, hey, you want to take
another hand.
Yeah, I want to take a week off K-State, go cover the Super Bowl. I would have done it. But as a fan, there's really not much appeal for me to actually go to a Super Bowl. It's just so commercial. I'd honestly rather just sit and watch it at home at my own Super Bowl party. Now, like the AFC Championship game, I'm jealous of anybody who got to go to that. That looked awesome.
Too cold.
Super Bowl, I could probably pass on, though.
I always like covering stuff, so.
I don't know. Super Bowl Media Day seems like it would be very annoying.
Captain, can you smile?
I just want a writer, man. I'm tired of being by my. I'm lonely, Matt. I don't have the luxury of IMG K-State Sports Network, which I know I just butchered.
Okay, I've written it. I'm tired of you slaps not getting it right. Fitz, you can get Ryan's title right and his title right. Say it, Ryan.
K-State Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Thank you. It's not hard, you slaps.
All I'm saying is I don't have as many able-bodied men and women.
I got 4 words for you.
Suck it up.
For the right price.
There you go.
Okay.
So you're applying for the job? Is that what you're saying?
It's going to have to pay a lot. And I just mean Brian needs to get paid a lot to put up with Matt Walters.
Oh. Well.
Will the Chiefs win?
Yes.
Come on, Southern boy.
Catfish has his doubts. Which K-State player has the biggest impact? How about that?
DJ Reed.
That's what my guess.
Reed.
I just think
I want to say Pringle, but it'll be Reed.
I think the Niners are going to pull out a really close one.
Okay.
Like 27-24.
You can be different.
24? That's all the Chiefs will score?
Jesus. Pat Mahomes craps 24 points.
And on that note,
that's it. Chiefs will win. And we will chide Catfish next week.
For my insubordination.
Yes, exactly.
Of not picking the Chiefs here sitting in Kansas.
And if you need to be a sports writer, if you really think you can do it, apply to him.
Now.
Please do it. Please. He's getting cranky, and we're tired of it. This has been the Powercat Insiders Podcast, sponsored by Commerce Bank. We reconvene 1 week from today.
You've been listening to the Powercat Insiders Podcast, presented by Commerce Bank. Powercat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.